Welcome to the Share Your Rise podcast, where every person has an untold story to tell. I'm Katie.
I'm Bree. Join us as we explore the inspiring stories of individuals from all walks of life, uncovering the challenges they've overcome and the victories they've achieved.
Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered to share your own rise.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Share Your Rise podcast. Today we have Dawn Fry, owner of Allegory Salon. Say hello, Dawn.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys.
It is so amazing to be in your beautiful studio here. I always call it a studio. It kind of looks like a studio, but it's a salon. It's a boutique. Do you ever call it a boutique as well?
I just feel like the whole vibe is like we try to do a kind of like a city space.
Yeah.
That's why we love being downtown.
Uh-huh.
It's just kind of have that vibe of like a big city space.
It's so true. And that's kind of why when I talk about where I get my hair done and then referenced Bree here or referred, and I talk about us interviewing you, I'm like, it's just this, I try to explain it because it's not just a salon. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's this whole vibe in the middle of downtown East Village. So today we're going to kind of talk about your rise and kind of go back to the roots. I don't know if Dan shared anything a little bit.
Nope.
All
Going
right.
in totally,
You have your own story to tell then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. So let's kind of start with your family and your upbringing. So tell us a little bit about how that was, brothers and sisters, mom and dad.
I just grew up by myself. My dad was not present, so I was the only child, single mom. I pretty much grew up like alone most of the time because my mom was out working to just provide,
Wow.
make ends
Latchkey
meet.
kid, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I, did, after school, played with my friends in the neighborhood, microwaved my own food.
Yeah.
Kind of just like took care of myself until my mom got home. And so I was at a very early age used to just doing everything on my own.
Wow.
So was that here in the Des Moines area?
Mostly in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Where we lived. So
Wow. So how did you end up all the way up here in Des Moines, Iowa?
we ended up here because it just got to a point where my mom couldn't manage like finances anymore. And my grandma was like, I know you don't want to move back here, but like give up, basically.
Move home to be closer to family.
Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily like to be closer to family. It was like move home to survive.
Sure.
Kind of like.
Absolutely.
So we ended up moving in with my grandma when I was 13.
Ooh, critical
And
age, too.
Yes. I was very upset about having to move.
Yeah.
Because being young and not having a lot of money, we moved all the time. So I don't even know like what number of move
Right.
it was, but it was always like moving from one place to the next. So I was not excited about moving to Iowa, even though I loved my grandma. My grandma was just like so great to me.
Absolutely.
But we ended up moving into her home, and we were there for several years until I believe I was maybe like 16 when we ended up moving into an apartment again.
So was your mom from Des Moines then?
Yeah, my mom was from Altoona, and my grandma still lived in Altoona, so we came back to her childhood home.
Okay. So then what school did you go to 13, 14, 15, 16?
So I went to Southeast Polk at first, and then when we originally moved, I went to North, and then we ended up moving again, and I went to East. So I graduated from East.
Okay. Yeah. And so what age did you graduate? Was it a little earlier?
Yeah, I graduated early when I was 17 because my senior year would have been when I would have graduated right before I turned 18, but I only had 2 course credits left. So I decided to go to summer school when I was 16.
Yeah.
And then graduated when I was 17.
Yeah. So what made you want to get the heck out of there as soon as possible?
Well, first of all, school is rough.
Yeah.
I don't think we give our kids enough credit for that. School's
it
pretty
is.
miserable.
It's stressful.
It's socially miserable.
Yep, I have a 14-year-old right now going through that. It's hard.
Yeah, so I don't make any, when my kids are like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it sucks. But, you just got to get through it. And,
absolutely.
you can make it worse by complaining, or you can just get it over with.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I didn't really like school. But secondly, I still didn't have any money. I was like, I worked from, I went to school and I went to work so that I could help my mom with rent.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, I don't want to just suffer another year in high school. I kind of viewed it as a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that the sooner I got my diploma, the sooner I could start my next step, which for me I had decided was going to beauty school, because I could start beauty school right away with my diploma.
Yeah.
And then I could start earning when I was done with beauty school.
So that kind of explains your ambition, because early on you had to be super mature.
Yeah.
So
I grew up way too fast.
Yeah, I can tell already. And that's kind of what set your mind already by the time you got to high school. Like, okay, high school's like a gig. I'm going to get it over with so then I can move on to something bigger and better, because this is like not my deal.
Yeah, it's everybody goes through different environmental life when they're in high school. Mm-hmm. But for some people, you don't want to downplay their significance. If some people feel like high school is really important years.
Yes.
But for me, I just felt like it was a really insignificant portion.
Well, you used it as a tool, it sounds like. You knew it was something you needed to get through. It was a tool that you had to go on with your life. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what beauty school did you go to then?
I originally started at Le James, but back when I went to Le James, they were in an older building, and they had a max capacity. And they said, oh, we're going to start your class part-time, but you'll be able to move into a full-time amount of hours, which you graduate by the amount of hours that you go.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you'll be able to move into full-time hours in just a couple months when we have some graduates. And they weren't having graduation rates like they were supposed to.
Okay.
So they had to come back to our starting class and be like, oh, you guys can't, start full-time. And it was like, again, waste of my time. Like I have a place to go. I have things to do. I can't, sit here and wait for you guys to be able to tell me when I can get this over with.
Right.
So I transferred to Iowa School of Beauty, and I graduated from there.
Okay. So I remember Le James. Me and my mom would go to Le James because it was super discounted, right? That was huge. So when did you figure out that's what you wanted to do?
I actually didn't think I want to do hair. That was never I never had, some people are like, oh, I always wanted to do hair. I was like, I need to earn money quickly.
Yeah.
I really loved art. One of the most fun things that I got to do when I went to North High is one of my art teachers would stay after school and let anybody come in and work on their art projects until she had to go to her second job at Hy-Vee.
Oh,
wow.
And I just loved coming in there and working on my art until she had to go to work. And then when she had to go to work, I would pack everything up.
An inspiring teacher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Passionate teacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's great. What kind of art did you like to do?
All kinds of art, everything from canvas to drawing to glass work. So it was just really something that I enjoyed, being creative.
Yeah.
And, my mom really wanted me to go to college. I think just because that was her, if I can just get my kid to go to college, then I feel like
I've accomplished
something.
Yeah.
But I really didn't want to go to college because when I was younger, when you're a kid, when you're a little kid, they ask you what you've been eating. And I was like, I want to be an astronaut, because my mom had saved up all of our money for this one big vacation. We went to Kennedy Space Center.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. But
loved Kennedy Space Center. So that was I
core memory for you.
I love that.
Yes, absolutely. And I was like, I want to be an astronaut. And no fault to my mom, she had a hard life, but she was like, well, honey, you're not going to be an astronaut. Because,
oh my gosh.
Be realistic.
If, X amount of people get this degree, and then X amount of people end up getting these jobs, and then X amount of people that get these jobs.
Well, she had to be realistic for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was like, and this is, I don't even remember, maybe I was 8, 9. She's like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
move on with that.
Yeah,
thought.
you're not going to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like as a kid, I was kind of like, oh, people don't just get to do whatever they want because they like
when they ask you in kindergarten and first grade.
Reality.
Yeah.
And then so afterwards, I also loved the ocean where we lived in a very like kind of like rural, like not nice area of Florida. So it's not like glam Florida. It's like, like we couldn't go to school if it rained too much because the roads were clay and the buses couldn't come pick us up.
Yeah.
So it was like we lived within walking distance. It was a long walk, but Wakulla Springs area. And that's where they filmed like Creatures of the Black Lagoon.
Ooh.
If you want to like put some reference to that.
Okay.
So it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful, natural, crystal clear spring. And we would go swimming there. And there was real wildlife there. Like there was alligators, and they would have a lifeguard. And when the alligators got in the water, they would blow the whistle, and everybody had to get out of the water and wait for the alligators to go away so we could get back in the water.
God, scary.
And
Alligators
that
scare
was just
me.
our
So
normal.
how do you feel about alligators now?
They're not scary. I definitely respect, like,
the wild.
Yeah. Like, you don't be like, oh, look, it's an alligator. Let's go. No, you don't do that.
Right.
But, like, that was kind of like what we did that was kind of where we grew up. And then we weren't that far from the ocean. It wasn't a very nice beach.
Yeah.
But we would go down to the ocean. So I always had a love for that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a marine biologist. Back when I lived in
can't
Florida.
be an astronaut. Let's go with marine biology.
Let's go with marine biology.
You're ambitious.
So I was like, they get to be outside in this beautiful place every day, and that's what I want to do. So then when we moved to Florida, I was like, well, I'm not going to be a marine biologist.
Yeah. Did mom kaput that too? So was she like, you got to be good at the sciences, the math?
No, she was like, oh, yeah. Be a marine.
That one was...
But because, like, she's thinking, oh, she'll get a degree.
Yeah, that's a good one. Astronaut too
and
far.
that's attainable.
Yeah, and if you already... Yeah, you already live by the ocean at that point,
Right. So we moved to Florida, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. And then... so when it came time for me to graduate and all these things, and I'm like, I'm going to go to beauty school, she's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to go to college. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anything that has a college degree. Like, there's no, like, I can't think of a job that I need a college degree for that I'm going to be. And she's like,
and then waste all that money. And then, like, what do you walk?
Time.
Yeah, and the time. Yeah.
And it's like, and she's like, oh, well, you don't want to be, I'm like, I'm not going to be a marine biologist here in
I'm in Iowa.
With a lake. Yeah. And I don't, like, at that point, she had made me a realist, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't have money to move to be a marine biologist. So I'm going to figure out something that I can enjoy that's going to make good money.
Yeah.
So that I don't waste my time and money.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I said I was going to go to beauty school because I'm like, I love art. And I really love people.
Yeah.
And I love helping people.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to help people. And I want to get into hair extensions. I knew that right away because I was like watching everything on TV. Like, oh man, this is amazing how they can transform people's hair. And celebrities. And please let me help Britney Spears because I don't know how much she paid for her extensions, but I want to do them for free
I love
because I know that I could do a better
please,
job.
Brittany,
my gosh.
come let me help you, please.
So this was like, what? So tell me like the reference of time.
So this would have been like 1998.
Okay.
And then, my mom's like, yeah, absolutely, you're not going to go to beauty school. You'll never make any money. You'll never have anything. Because my mom, she went to beauty school and graduated and did hair for like a year.
Yeah, there's
in
the thing.
1969.
She had her own connection to it.
So that was her, her truth to money, right? Like, oh, this isn't going to work. And so then she actually called my dad, which at that point we really didn't have a lot of contact with my dad.
Yeah.
But she was like, I don't know when I'm going to, she's desperate to just talk me out of this.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you're not going to go to beauty school. You won't have a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, I don't actually really care what you say.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Absolutely.
Like now he's coming up to say some advice, some fatherly advice.
I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for permission.
Yeah.
Like, no one can tell me no.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
Well, good for you for sticking up for what you saw as your dream and what worked best for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for sure. Okay, exciting. So then you're doing beauty school. You graduate from
Iowa School of Beauty
Iowa School of Beauty
in 99.
in 99. Okay, awesome. And then what's next? You haven't met Dan yet.
No, well, I take that back. I
Okay.
did meet Dan. This is going to sound really juicy, but
Yeah.
it's not as exciting as it sounds.
I'm
So-
curious if it'll be a different perspective from the
I know.
same story
Yeah.
that he told us yesterday.
Dan
I'm
was
super
like, we'll
curious.
see this version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wanna hear it.
so
Can't wait.
I was in beauty school actually when I met Dan. I was dating somebody that I had met in high school. I was in a very abusive relationship.
Oh my
And I don't
gosh.
know why I didn't end that relationship. I just kept making myself more busy
Yeah.
to be away from that relationship.
Yeah.
Because-
Avoiding it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was avoiding having to break up
The
with this
confrontation.
person.
Well, when
I-
you're in the thick of it, it's hard to know. It's hard to figure out what to do and how to get out of it and what
Yeah.
the next steps are. Absolutely.
I just felt trapped, and I
Yep.
was like, I don't really know how to get around this right now, and I don't really like have time to figure it out. I need
Yeah.
to stay on track. I need to get this done.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna keep working. The whole time I was in beauty school, I was working full time. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna
Where at?
keep
Waitressing?
working. So I had a rough schedule. So I would open McDonald's.
Okay.
So I would be at McDonald's at like 4:30.
Oh my God.
And I would, when I was done with my breakfast shift, I would go home, shower really quick, get over to beauty school.
Yeah.
And then when I left beauty school, I went straight to Wilson's Leather because
Oh
I was
my
an assistant
gosh,
manager
girl.
at Wilson's
You
Leather.
are, what are you, like, powerhouse.
Yes.
So I
Powerhouse.
was working like crazy amount of hours because I had to help my mom with rent. I had to be able to pay my own bills too.
Yeah.
So I was working a crazy amount of hours. So in my mind, I was like, I don't even have time to deal with how to end this relationship.
Yeah.
I just need to take up as much of my time as possible to get,
Yep.
where I need to go. I have
Yeah.
these goals.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to get in my way.
Yeah.
And that's why I really never got into like, yeah, I would go to a party or something, but I never really got into like heavy drinking or doing any
Yeah.
drugs because I was like, this
Too
is going to get
focused.
in my way. Nothing's going to get in my way of getting
that.
out of poverty,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I
Right.
was like, I had grown up around enough poverty that
Yeah.
I had seen people really like seal their own demise.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's no hope for me, so I'm just going to keep smoking weed.
Yeah.
Or there's
Yep.
not a lot of chance for me, so I'm just going to not show up to work today because I'm depressed.
Yeah.
And
I love that. You really had to grow up quickly
and I just
with what you're doing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just saw people like, well, yeah, you're in a bad situation, but you literally are like taking your only chance out.
Yeah.
and
yeah.
you're sealing.
You can
your
climb
fate.
out. You can climb out.
So I just
Yeah.
thought at every turn, I'm like, no, nothing. It's not going to be partying or anything. Like nothing is
Yeah.
going to get in my way. So I, once I kind of like got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm working all these hours. I had met Dan at the mall, actually, at Merle
Yeah.
Hay Mall.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
boy.
He worked at Merle Hay Mall, and I worked at Merle Hay Mall, and I was dating actually one of his really good friends.
Yeah.
And his really good friend had asked me to marry him, and my first response was like, I don't want to get married yet. I'm not
Yeah.
ready for that, and But then it was like such a controlling, abusive relationship. He's like, well, you have to give me an answer. And
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, so finally I was just like, oh yeah, I'll marry you, And
Oh
then
my
it
God.
like
Just keep brushing
got
it off.
out
yeah.
of control because it like spiraled into dates and it spiraled into like my mom taking me dress shopping and
my
I just
God.
like felt trapped and there was
Yeah.
just this no way out and we had this date and then Dan was actually going to be our best man.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
So I
That's
did meet
crazy.
him when I was in beauty school, but and it's funny because Dan actually used to like take us out when we didn't really have any money just because he wanted to like have some friends to spend time with. So he'd be like, oh, I'll take you guys out to dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and Dan didn't realize how abusive the relationship was because I hid a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I felt like I'm such a strong person, but then I felt so embarrassed that
Yeah.
this was such a weak blind spot in my
Yes.
life. So my
Yeah.
mom didn't know, not really anybody knew.
So you just kept avoiding it and pushing
Just
it away.
kept avoiding it, just kept hiding it.
Yep.
And then like we were over at Dan's apartment actually one night, and we had an argument in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then like Dan came out because he had heard something going on, and he saw him push me down the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And that was really the turning point of like, you know, Dan threatened him, like, and he was basically like, if I ever see this again, like, you're, you know, basically all the threats.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point of Dan being like, you can't marry this guy.
Yeah.
You know, like as a friend, he's coming to being like, you can't marry this guy.
He's a douchebag.
And so we're at work. We're both at the mall, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to marry him, but I feel like I'm so stuck, and it's like, you know, it's crazy. Like we had invitation, like it was like
you had this
in your
huge
mind,
investment.
It's like done.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, it's never done until it's done.
Exactly.
Right? And so Dan was like, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. I don't want to marry this guy, but I'm just like, I don't know what to do at this point. And he's like, you're going to go home and you're going to tell him. And you're just going to tell him. And you're going to get out. And he's like, you just have to have the courage to do it.
Yeah.
Or it's going to ruin your life.
Wow. So out of everyone in your life, friends, mother, grandmother, yourself, it was actually your future husband, father of your children, that pulled your...
Yeah, he's the one
pulled
that
you out of it.
He said, "You're ending it.
You're ending it."
He gave me the
Got
courage.
your head out of the water and said, like, you need to breathe now. Like, get yourself clear.
What a beautiful beginning to a love story.
I love that.
So I did. I went home, and we lived together, which even made it harder.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. And, you know, and I think that, you know, I was, first of all, trying not to get killed.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Right.
And so, you know, I was like, I just need more time. I just, like, I want to be, like, independent and single for a minute. And I just, like, want to be friends. Because I'm trying to kind of end this amicably.
Yeah.
Long story.
And safely.
Yeah. I mean, long story short, that did not go well. I moved out. It did not go well. I had restraining orders, like, there was multiple attempts on my life.
Oh my gosh.
But ultimately I didn't see Dan during any of that time. Like, you know, our circles kind of changed.
Yeah.
He didn't hang out with him really anymore, and I certainly didn't want to hang out with him and anybody that he was hanging out with.
Yeah.
And our circles kind of changed, and our lives split.
Yeah.
And, you know, I started dating somebody else, and I dated somebody else for, I think, about 9 months.
Yeah.
I went on multiple dates with multiple people just because I felt like that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Like, I needed to kind of just, like, see what I want.
Yeah.
And then... there was a moment where I was dating the person, and Dan had a moment of, like, with one of his friends, which at that time I didn't know. Like, he had this, like,
epiphany.
I've got to go find Dawn.
Yeah.
You know? And this is, like, years later.
Wow.
Which, you know, from the outside circles of the people that we used to hang out with, like, outside looking in, they were like, oh, they were together the whole
Yeah.
like it's this big scandal, right?
Right.
And to us, we just, like, literally, like, almost never talked after that moment where he was like,
in the
you
hallway.
gotta do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a testament to Dan to show how much of a genuine person he is. He really cared because he cares, you know?
Yeah,
He didn't
he
have
does
an agenda.
care.
He really just needed you to be safe, and he cared.
Right.
And he saw, you know, your strength, you know, and how loyal and a good person that you were. That obviously, you never left his mind. I mean, I think we can say that now for sure, you know? And so, okay, so then when does he come back around then?
Oh, so I was dating someone. He actually came to find me, which I was oblivious to. I was still working at Wilson's Leather. Now I'm working full-time at a salon, making, like, a ridiculous paycheck. Like, honestly, like 2 weeks, $150, like worthless money.
Yeah.
But discounted on your leather, right? Did you at least get discounts on your leather?
Well, that was at the salon.
Well, at the salon, I was working 2 week, like a bi-weekly
Wilson Leather
paycheck,
was probably
$150.
paying you more.
Yeah, and Wilson's Leather, you know, was like, well, they wanted to give me my own store, which was like double, like, what I was making at the time, benefits, health insurance. Like, they were like, oh, we want to give you your own store, we want you to manage your own. And I was like, I just can't, because this isn't.
It's going to derail
where
you.
I see,
that's not your dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, my dream is not like I'm stuck in the mall.
Yeah.
You know, my dream is like, I'm moving up and I'm getting out of here, and Wilson's Leather isn't my way of getting out of here. I am.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and so
Absolutely.
I just kept working this like ridiculous like $150 for 2 weeks at the salon full time.
Yeah.
And then full time at Wilson's Leather because I actually had to pay my own bills.
Yeah.
And so I'm working at Wilson's Leather, and he knew that I had still worked there. And so he came to find me. And at the time when we were dating, like, or when we were friends, I'm sorry, I was not a tiny girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like size 14, size 16.
Yeah.
Part of me growing up alone is I really didn't know like how to
Healthy
eat.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to
take
work
care of
out.
yourself.
I didn't know
all that balance. And
I
you
was
were
just
working nonstop.
Yeah, I was working nonstop. So, and I ate cheap food, and I, you know, like everything that comes with that, like there was really no training for me to understand how to fuel my body properly.
Right.
So one of the things that I did when I was 19, when I got a little bit of extra money and I was working my 2 jobs, and I'm in an industry that is about like caring about your appearance.
Yeah.
I decided to pay for a personal trainer and nutritionist to show me how to do it.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
I bought a package. They taught me how to eat. They taught me how to work out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. So I had been going through this whole transformation. Dan
Yeah.
didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
So he comes looking for me there at work, and he's looking for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
little
Old you.
like chunky,
Yeah.
curvy, like me. And he doesn't like find me.
Yeah.
And so he's just kind of like, oh. And then he's like passes by again, and then he's like, wow, but this girl, she's like,
Yeah.
like
It's not Dawn, but
really cute.
Yeah.
And then it turned around, and he's like, oh my gosh.
wow.
Like, it's me.
It's done.
I love that.
And then, of course, he wasn't like, you know, when people don't see you in a long time, they're like, wow, you lost a lot of weight.
Right.
Or wow, you
Yeah.
look different.
Yeah.
And it's kind of offensive.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He was just like, oh my gosh, like, I think he said something like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were going to be here," even though like,
Yeah.
he specifically
he
came to find me.
downplayed
Yeah,
it for you.
he didn't tell us that part. So Dan finds you at Wilson Leather, and kind of flash forward, then you guys end up having 5 kids.
Yes.
Like, tell us about that.
We actually talked about, we get into this whirlwind romance very quick. Everybody thought I was pregnant because we, like, basically, long story short, I was dating somebody else. He was dating somebody else when he came to find me.
Yeah.
And we were both just kind of like, oh, we're reconnecting. We're friends. And so we were just like touching base as friends.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not dating this guy anymore. And he was like, oh, and that was his opportunity. So we had this whirlwind romance. We started dating and I kind of started it off. I, as a friend, was like, I want to go haunted housing.
Yeah.
And the guy I was dating at the time, we were like dating other people, and he was just like, thought it was kind of juvenile.
Yeah.
That I wanted to go haunted housing. And he was quite a bit older than me.
Yeah.
So I think he was just kind of like, oh my gosh, she's such a kid. Like, this is silly.
Right.
And I was just like, okay. And so I was like, I know Dan would go with me.
Yeah.
Dan is fun.
Yeah.
So I call up Dan and I'm like, hey, you want to go haunted housing with me? And he's like, yeah, of course.
Totally.
So we go haunted housing, and then we're on the date, and then I realize it's a date. Like I made the date, right? And then I'm like, oh, this feels different.
Yeah, the butterflies and
Like,
the friendship is like,
Yeah, the water is like muddy now, and it's like
a line
this
has
is
been
not
kind of crossed.
like we've crossed the line. So we go into this whirlwind romance, and by January we are engaged. And so you think like Halloween to January.
It's
right?
not like you just met. You guys have been friends off and on for years.
Yeah.
You've grown
So,
up. You've experienced your things. You're ready.
So, and then we're like, we want to get married at and we want to actually elope. Just have a vacation and get married. And our parents were like, no, absolutely not. And then also everybody assumed I was pregnant because why would you do that?
Yeah.
And so of course I wasn't pregnant. But one of the things that we talked about when we were like, okay, we want to get married, but let's talk about all the important things.
Yeah.
Is he's like, I don't know if I want to have kids, but I'm definitely not against having kids. I was like, well, me too. If you need that, I will do that for you. And if I need that, I would want you to do that for me. And that was kind of the deal, right?
Yeah.
So we actually weren't even planning on for sure having kids. But one of my rules per se was if we have a kid, we're having more than one kid. Because I was so alone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only child here too.
And I don't want that for my kid.
No.
And so we are married a few years at this point, and I'm still working Wilson's Leather, and I'm still working full-time at the salon. So we didn't actually spend a lot of time together, but we had to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so I get pregnant, and, it's like, we're married, that's all fine, but we were, like, living in, like, a crappy...
So how did you get married? So, like, did you end up eloping?
No, our parents wouldn't let us do that.
Yeah.
So basically, we were like, okay, moms, this is your wedding.
Yeah.
You do it, so we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. Our moms plan the wedding. Our moms had, like, the best wedding ever. And Dan and I were just there for the show.
So were here in Des Moines?
Yes. And we were just there for the show, and we left early at 9:30, and, we were...
That sounds so relaxing and stress-free for the bride.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Really?
It wasn't, because I really felt back then that I kind of had to, like, hide the entire part of myself.
Yeah.
Because, you're seeking all this approval from people,
Sure.
and you're young, and nobody wants to give you that approval.
Right.
So, it's like my wedding dress is beautiful, but it's not the wedding dress I would have
Yeah,
picked.
I get that.
It's like I need to, like, make everybody happy with my wedding dress and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
And especially being a creative person like you, I mean, think about it. You know what you guys should do? You should renew the vows, right?
oh man, that's a whole nother thing. We're not doing that.
Oh my God.
We're not doing that.
you've
That's a whole
moved on.
nother
You
thing.
You could do the hair, the dress, who knows? You never know. You could change after a couple of years, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. I could change my mind after a couple of years. But, we just basically had the wedding that our mothers wanted us to have.
Yeah.
We left our reception at 9:30 because we were like, let's, like, ditch this, like, old stuffy crowd and get out of here.
Yeah.
Basically.
You guys are so fun. I
And
love it.
then...
So you're married, you have the baby.
A couple years later, no money, living in a crappy duplex, get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my gosh, we have to be, like, responsible.
Yeah.
We need to, like, move out of here, get a home established. So then Christian was kind of like another motivation to be like, well, now I have to I have to go even faster.
Yeah.
Go even further, because now I have to take care of this kid.
Yeah.
And then we, we're in the midst of everything, which is, like, terrible timing to have another child. But I was like, no, I mean, we got to have another child.
Yeah.
We got to be buddies.
Yeah.
Like, we got to, like,
at least
let's
two.
go.
Got to pair them up.
Yeah.
So we do get pregnant at, like, one of the worst times, literally, because we're like, now at this point, I'm not working at Wilson's. We have a huge salon. Dan is, like, working the desk, like, mostly full time. He's all behind the scenes. He's also doing real estate. I'm working full time. We've got, like, 18 employees, and I'm, like, trying to have this other baby because now I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this kid a buddy.
Right.
Yes.
And long story short, with that business, we crashed and burned that really good. Like, it was our first business. We were young. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't treat people as well as I thought I could.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to, like, when people would have a nasty response to me, I kind of had that, like, younger poverty ghetto mentality if I'm going to snap back at you.
Yeah.
And then when I was older, I realized, no, the person that's the leader has to be above reproach. Like, even if somebody is mistreating me in that moment, I need to be the one to be like, I'm not going to be unprofessional with you.
So that was a huge learning experience for you with your first salon.
And when we lost our salon, we also lost our house and we lost our car. We, like, basically lost everything but each other.
Yeah.
And then we started over again.
Your family, your little family, because you had Christian with you at that time,
and
too.
Isaiah.
And then Isaiah.
So we had these two little boys, and it's just like, well, let's get back on the thing. And,
get back on the horse.
Yeah. Originally, I thought that was it.
Yeah.
For me. I thought, oh my gosh, I've had this huge business and everyone will see how bad I failed and everyone will remember. And I was so embarrassed and I was like, might as well just find a new career.
Right.
Might as well just.
It would be easy to just let it go and
just
and
let it go.
find
Just do something else. Like, how embarrassing is this that now I'm at the bottom again?
But you didn't.
No, I didn't. One, because I really didn't have an option.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have time to switch gears.
Right. You've already invested how many years now into this idea? too.
Yeah, at that point, this would have been like 2008. Well, you know,
Like
when
a
the market
decade.
crashed.
So it's basically like a
the
decade.
recession is when it happened.
Yeah, right.
And so I thought, you know, the quickest way out is to keep grinding and doing what I'm doing, and the quickest way to the top is to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, don't change gears.
Don't give up.
Just keep doing what you're doing. And then a year later, it was like nothing ever happened. And like people keep telling us, like our clients, oh, you're going to do it again. And I'm like, no, I'm never going to have another business again. I'm never doing that again. And they're like, oh, okay, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you.
It sounds like you were just meant for it, though. Like all of your life experiences leading up to it.
Well, and the lack of options, I think, too, was part of it. Mm-hmm. Like when we lost that salon, I was like, I'm going to go work for somebody else. I'm just going to have a regular job.
Yeah.
I want to be able to come and go. I don't want this responsibility.
Yeah, so much stress.
No one would hire me. No one would hire me. And I was just like,
why? Were you overqualified?
I was a threat.
Too ambitious, too driven.
I had owned a large salon. Right. I had all of these extension certifications that I brought with me. I didn't need them, right? Yeah. And so if I didn't need them, why would they hire me?
Yeah.
And there was only one salon out of dozens that I applied at when I closed my salon that would even consider it.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we will hire you, but we want 50% of all of your extension services.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so it really limited you.
Dang.
Well, and I told them,
50.
like, I understood at that point how margins work. And I said, deal, pay for all my extension certifications. You get 50% of all of my extension services.
Businesswoman, you're being a businesswoman.
I'm like, I get it. I know where the margins are now. I've had a business. I've closed a business.
Yeah.
I know you need your money.
Right.
But that's not without investment. Like, I'm bringing something to the table, so I have something to negotiate with.
Yeah.
And they weren't open to that at all because
Yeah.
extension certifications were expensive.
Right. And I feel like still super rare. I mean, like back then in early 2000s,
then nobody had them.
I mean, seriously, it was rare.
It was like, you know, I was the extension girl.
Yeah.
You were had a very
like
unique niche.
One of four people.
That was when I was
them.
in Europe, and that's when I found out. And then I came here, and I've told you my story. I could not find anybody.
Yeah.
It was like nobody. I had to go there to get my hair done. Mm-hmm. And it was only you where I was like, finally found like, oh, she's doing what they do in Europe. Now I know why. You have like all the professional certifications.
Yeah. So they didn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And so then I did my numbers and I came back and I was like, I can't afford that. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't, if you can't pay for those certifications to earn that 50%, I can't work for you.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, yeah, we get it. And so it wasn't a bad blood thing. It was just a mutual thing, like business to business. They had their business numbers. I had mine.
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to go work in what I call like the dreaded salon hotel, where it's like the tiniest little suite space, like you could barely turn yourself around in. And and they've gotten so much better, and this isn't to shame anybody that works in a suite environment, but for me, the way that it felt was like, I'm claustrophobic and I'm going to die here.
Well, you loved people, right?
You
feel a little closed off.
Well, and just the space. Like, because I was creative, I needed a creative space.
Yeah.
And this was just so stifling to my creativity.
So how does that look like? I'm trying to, like a hotel salon?
Well, I call it a salon hotel. But really what it is like a building. You walk in, there's like 20 doors, and each door is its own little independent business. Which is
I've been to one of those. I've been to one of those. Like,
there is one in Johnston.
Yeah, I went to it and I was like, "What is this?" Yep. It was weird. And then you share the sink. Everyone shares a sink.
You don't have to. They're all set up different. So like I had my own sink. But for me, it was just like, to some people that's really freeing.
Yeah.
Like they feel like, oh, this is my space.
Yeah.
And it's on like my terms. And for me, it felt really suffocating.
Yeah. Claustrophobic.
Like,
I get it now.
I can't be creative in this space. I can't do good work in this space. Like this isn't what I was meant for.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like a cubicle a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, if I worked in the corporate world, I would have been fired in no time because I would have been like, I can't go to work today and sit here at the same desk doing the same thing.
The monotonous.
And that's what it was for me. Yeah. It was like the salon hotel that was like threatening to crush my dreams.
Well, and then like that's the service of the people, because to be honest, you did hospitality with McDonald's, that's servicing of people, and then retail. That's servicing of people. So you've always been a servicing of people. Like that's a bucket you knew you needed to fill really, really early on.
Yeah. And the vibe of, and I don't know them all because I was only in a few salon suites.
Yeah.
But the vibe of the different salon suites that I had worked in was very like stab you in the back, dog eat dog competition.
Right.
Like every business there was out to crush your business because in their mind that made their business more successful.
Yeah.
And so the vibe of even being in there was just very
Negative.
like negative,
Draining.
discouraging,
Yeah.
not uplifting.
Yeah.
These people were
Soul
not
sucking.
friends and uplifting
Yeah.
each other. They were like trying to take each other down.
Yeah. Not
And
cool.
so, like, I'm sure there's environments in those salon suites that are not like that, but
Yeah.
the ones that I were in were
Right.
definitely like that.
Right. That was your experience.
And so, I was like, I'm going to die here. I've got to get out of here. You know, I
Yeah.
would come home and tell Dan, like, we're just like trying to make the bills meet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I
Right.
can't die
Right.
here. Like,
Right.
so I just kept working, kept grinding, got into a bigger space, kept working, kept grinding. Then I went out to this little space that was like a retail type space in Valley Junction.
Yeah.
And Dan built it out all vintage for me, like the vibe of Valley
beautiful.
Junction.
So
Yes.
fun.
And that space was better in the aspect of, even though it could have been a lot nicer,
Yeah.
it was like, I can breathe now. This is my space.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Share Your Rise podcast.
We hope you're leaving inspired and empowered to share your own journey.
Until next time, keep rising, keep thriving, and remember, your story matters.
This podcast is produced by Elevada Worldwide. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Be sure to head to elevadaworldwide.com for more great content.